Hello, church family. This is Pastor Thad with another midweek devotion. As we move closer to Christmas, this is our fourth week in Advent. Here's a short poem. The prophecies foretold him. The shepherds came to behold him. The wise men came to worship him, and other kings tried to dethrone him. The King has come. Oh, I'm excited and anticipating this Christmas. There's so many good things I'm hopeful for on top of this hard and heavy year. But remember, last week we talked about this ease of forgetfulness that we all have, due mainly to my own desire, my sinful desire for self-rule, to be in charge of my own life. And we talked about the reminder to remember who's really in charge, who's really reigning in the world and in our lives, and especially who needs to reign in my hearts. So to pray that God's kingdom come, that in Matthew chapter 6, Jesus is teaching us to pray the Lord's Prayer, that thy kingdom come, means many things. But personally, it means the end or the dethronement, the death of my kingdom. My heart needs to leave the throne, and Christ needs to come in. And that's what Jesus teaches, and that's what Paul picks up on when he's writing in 2 Corinthians 5:15. This is one of my favorite passages in 2 Corinthians. He says that those who might live might no longer live for themselves. And that's the giving up of self-rule. But we rarely want to give that up. And live for those, or live for him who for those sake died and was raised. This is Jesus who died for us so that we could live for him. And we see lots of examples around us of people living for themselves, lots of people in society on different levels in Hollywood and in sports teams and all these other places, but rarely do we want to see or acknowledge our own blind spots to our own self-rule, our setting up our own little kingdoms and living just to keep things how we want them. But until someone lovingly points out and the Spirit convicts us, grips our heart with that conviction, do we get to see or acknowledge or do anything about our own kingdom? Like my desire this last week, I was cleaning out the dishwasher, putting away some dishes, and my favorite grill tool, my spatula, the wooden handled one that's big, you can flip the whole burger at once and not have it just crunch apart, that had been put in the dishwasher. And I didn't know I had a little kingdom about my grill tools until I got angry that somebody had put my favorite grill utensil in the dishwasher. And my wife lovingly reminded me that that was so unimportant compared to the relationship I have with her and with my kids. And then my kids leave the ketchup on the table and it's going to get spoiled. And heaven forbid that ruin my little kingdom of unspoiled condiments. I didn't know I had that throne in my heart until, again, the Spirit convicted me of that and said that's not important. That's my own desire for my will to be done, not his. So how does this happen? How can we possibly take our will, our self-rule, and dethrone my own king, my own heart and desire? Well, it happens by us praying that prayer and seeing grace expand, seeing the good love of the Father poured out through Christ take over my kingdom. And see, the more we trust and obey and submit and serve his will, we'll see more of his kingdom and the good rule he has for us and trust more of that, even more of that. But the king also has to do battle, and we have to battle with our sin and our selfishness that keeps wanting my kingdom intact. All these little areas of control and rule and reign. Again, going back to Paul Tripp, last week I called him Ted Tripp, that's his awesome brother, but Paul Tripp wrote this one. He says that Jesus came to decimate our self-oriented kingdoms of one so that he could welcome us to his glorious kingdom of wisdom, grace, and love. Grace destroys that kingdom. so that it can rescue. And oh, I need that rescue every day. So, how does grace actually rescue anything? Grace is that means, the method that God uses to, to prove his favor for us, to enable and drive me to pursue his good promises as something far and above, far better than the little allure of my control or of my desires or of my will or of my sin to still reign. So that, oh, it's so good, so that you can see what becomes of his promises and the good things that God has for us when we say no to sin and to say yes to thy will, to God's kingdom coming and ruling and reigning in grace and kindness in our hearts, so that his grace always proves better than my sin and my kingdom. I pray that that is more evident, that the rule of Christ is more clearly beautiful in this Christmas and in our hearts as we enter this season. Have a blessed day.